Hi, good morning again, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We're just having some technical issues with Teams and Canva here. Excuse me. Okay. So, good morning again, everyone. My name is Shamini. I'm from Penang campus. I'm from Department of Languages, and I've been teaching more or less like about almost 6 years. Okay. And with me, we have Miss Wendy Wong, also a lecturer from Department of Languages. Wendy? All right. So for this session, we are not going to make it as very official or a very strict learning process or what. We're just gonna try to make it as comfortable as we can, and it's more like a sharing session um, about this topic, which is a modified flipped classroom. We don't want to make it like we don't want to lecture the entire thing. All right. We just want to share our experiences. We're going to share what we know about this modified flipped classroom. And perhaps you can share one or two things about your teaching and your things happen in your class. All right. So again, welcome. So first thing first, we're gonna do the ice breaking. Of course, I see there are a lot of names that I am not familiar. Even I believe Miss Wendy also she's not very familiar with the names there. So let's just break the ice for a bit. Okay, so honestly, because this is our second time doing this training, so we're still a little bit nervous. So let's just break the ice. All right. So the first task that I have here for you to do is I'll give you about 5 minutes, right? And in these 5 minutes, try to think about an adjective. Okay, you know adjective, right? Adjective is something, a word that describes a noun, a word that describes a person. For example, in this case, okay, that suits your personality best. Okay, so the adjective, but the trick here is that particular adjective should start with the first letter of your name. So let's say, for example, my name is Shamini. So the adjective that best describes me that starts with the letter S is secretive. Okay, because I am basically a very secretive person. I don't like sharing a lot of things, except like we talk. Yes, we talk, but I don't like to share a lot of information about myself or about certain things. So I consider myself as a secretive Shamini. All right. And Miss Wendy, do you have any adjective that you can think about?
I think I'm a wise Wendy
Okay. Why is it a wise Wendy?
because I'm teaching my students. I am giving them a lot of knowledge, so I have to be a wise person, right? If not, how do I educate my students, teach them, right? So I think I'm a wise Wendy.
Okay, that's a very good one. So again, so as I've mentioned, we'll give you like about 5 minutes. Just think about any adjective that best describes you, but it should start with the first letter of your name. All right. So let's give that a little bit more time here. So once you have thought about it, you can either unmute your mic and share with us your adjective, or you can share with us in our chat box.
Just now, Miss Shamini said she is secretive, she doesn't like to share things, but today you are sharing your knowledge on modified flipped classroom.
Yes, yes, that's a good one. But I think I could put it in a way that I am secretive about my personal things instead of this educational or things that might benefit other people. I don't think people will benefit from my personal information or secrets about that, right? So something to do with all this uh, education. I think sharing is caring. Sharing is really good. So we share and we can expand our knowledge to other people and also get some ideas from other people as well. So yes, secretive is only for personal. I'm so sorry. Excuse me if I tend to cough or not the weather a bit. So sorry, yeah. So let's see another 3 more minutes. If you have already thought about a word or an adjective that best describes you, you can start sharing in the chat box already. Another almost about 2 minutes. Sorry, that was again about this conversation about the technical issues here. Okay, so far we have two responses. We have Adrian, affordable Adrian. Okay, cheap to hang out, no cheap, expensive for 770 also. That's a good one. Affordable Adrian. Hi, nice to know you. Playful Pitwan. Nice. Ooh, ladylike Lokesh. Hi, Lokesh. Neat Nalini. Nalini, are you the one who has this OCD kind of thing where you need everything to be very neat and clean, or you are just neat in general? Okay. All right, so you need things to be arranged in a certain way and certain things. Okay. Nice, interesting. I'm not really a very organized or a neat person, but it's definitely not that messy. Nice, nice. Okay, so far we have four, and in total we have about what? 9 students? I say 9 students. Oh my God. I thought of as a lecturer. Nine colleagues here. Any more? Okay, I mean basically the time is up. as in preparing time is up. So let's just wait another 1 more minute, hoping that the others would kindly contribute, because again, right, this is um, more like a sharing session, where in the sharing session, we need a two-way communication, because when I am sharing my thoughts and my experience or some knowledge content base, it would really I would really appreciate if you could put in some input as well, so that it will expand the knowledge of this whole training. Looks like we don't have a lot of spammers here in this meeting. Okay. All right. So guess we only have about 4 active participants here. But moving on to okay, there's another message. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next slide, right? So before we start with the main topic, with the main part of this training, so just want to get some insight or some information, or maybe you can share some things. Yeah. So as a lecturer, okay, how are you different, okay, from the you before COVID and now? That means I'm pretty sure before this pandemic, everyone was teaching in one way. That means one standard way, and there's not much of uh, online interference. We all have like face-to-face class, and it was all like kind of standardized way of teaching. And then COVID happened, and then during the pandemic, we didn't had we couldn't go back to our campuses, we couldn't meet our students. Okay, all those things happened. So I'm sure during this pandemic, we have adapted a lot of things. We have changed a lot of our teaching style. We have also, in a way, be different compared to before pandemic and now. So how are you different from the you before COVID-19, for the pandemic, and now? Okay, and I would really appreciate if you have any kind of an unforgettable online teaching experience during the pandemic. Like it can be a good thing where student really appreciates you, or it could be like a blunder, something that actually went totally wrong during that online teaching. It can be anything. So it'd be wise if you could share with us one or two of your unforgettable online teaching experience as well.
Shamini, maybe you would like to share first while they are having their time to think about
Think
it.
about it. Yeah, I sort of need to think about it as well. But one thing for sure, uh, how different I am compared to before pandemic and after pandemic. I have become more patient. Okay, that is one. Um, very patient. Okay, now I'm like very relaxed and all. That's one. Number two, I tend to be more, how to say, understanding from students' point of view, because before this, it used to be like A, B, C. So it's like, you follow the set of rules and regulations and all. But during pandemic, there's a lot of things happen, and some students have poor internet connection and all those things, all those excuses or all the reasons that they give, for sometimes missing our assessments and all. So thinking from their point of view, kind of like be more understanding and try to find alternative ways to conduct lessons or to conduct classes. Okay, so that is how I'm totally different from the before me and now. Miss Wendy, any difference that you notice or you realize?
I think probably is the way of communication. Before this, we used to talk to the student in person. You see the student's reaction, facial expression. But now, they are behind the screen, and also up to now, my lessons are still fully online. So I haven't got a chance to meet my students face to face because my students, they are all in UG campus, so I have no choice. I have to conduct online lesson. So I can only see them during final exam, during speaking tests. So it's very hard for me to know that, whether they are bored with lesson, whether they understand or not. So I think the communication style compared to before the pandemic, it's very different. I know most of the lecturers here have probably gone back to physical classes. So up to now, I have uh, not experienced that yet. So I'm very really looking forward to have maybe physical classes with my students. So that's the only thing that I notice up to now.
Nice, like here, Pitwan shared with us. Um, yes, I kind of agree with you also, Pitwan, in terms of students' response, right? It can go both ways. Okay, there are a group of students who are in class, okay, during face-to-face teaching, they are very shy, they are very reluctant, they just keep it to themselves. But when it comes to online teaching, online learning, they will just ask because they are in a way they feel that they are not being judged, so they are they ask a lot of questions and all. But when it comes to another group of students where in class they will be super active, in class they pay attention or they are very participative, but when it goes back to online class they tend to be very quiet because perhaps their attention has moved to uh, another other things like maybe games, or maybe they watch uh, Korean series, or those kind of things. So there are really two types of students. You can't really say who is who, right? But yeah, I had a mix of both during this pandemic, and that is where my patience kicks in, because I used to be a very hot-tempered person, and I, especially during the early stages of online learning, April 2020, if I'm not wrong, 2020 or 2019, 2020, yeah. So those days, right, the early stages, I used to be very angry because students, they don't respond, and you feel like we are just talking to the laptop, and in a way, I even like scolded them online. What is wrong with you? Oh, we're supposed to interact and all, but eventually, as days passes by, you kind of like understand them. Okay, probably they don't want to listen to me talking the entire 3 hours. So that's why they get bored. Or maybe they just, get distracted with other things. So that is where I started to reflect on my lessons, and I start to twitch on the way of conducting the lessons. Instead of 1 hour straight lecture, we do like segmented lectures and so on. So in a way, you are conveying, it's not conveying, you are teaching them, and at the same time, you are also pulling them. Say, hey, don't go away, come, there's an activity here. And then again, you lecture a bit, and then, hey, don't go away, there's an activity here, those kind of things. Yeah, 2020 feels like it's been a very long time.
Yes, Shamini, I guess probably the rest they don't have uh, any unforgettable teaching experience, or they feel like they are still the same the same you before the pandemic, maybe.
You really? All the participants except for Pitcoin who just responded. A few typing here, so I guess happy. Oh, okay. Hi, Dr. How you are still at the first uh activity, first task. Yeah, nice. Hope you stay happy, Dr. How. Nalini says her 2020 online class was great. Okay, awesome. That's nice. But it's not easy for everyone, everyone has their own style, own way of teaching and all, right? So it was a bit difficult for me at first, but now it's a bit easier. That's a very good one, Yogesh. Consider yourself good in technology. Yes, that is also something that I learned and adapted. Because before this, it was just like, PowerPoint and give them handouts, ask them to do the activities in class, uh, discuss the answers, those traditional kind of teaching. But of course, on and off, we do implement some online teaching as well. Online teaching as in online activities. Okay, not just paper-based, but online activities. But yeah, during the pandemic, really had to learn, like, which platform is the best, how to really catch the attention, how to do activities, how to make them answer to the questions without, in an interesting way, and so on. Yes. Yes, very good, Bitcoin. Because I noticed that if you plan properly, you will really do well. But unless if you are the very last minute person, you think like, okay, never mind, we just try this app and see. Then, there will be some hiccups here and there. Okay. Okay. All right, Dr. Tan. Inquiry-based teaching strategy. That's interesting. Okay, perhaps we can share more about it in the coming sessions. All right. So moving on to the next slide. Uh, Miss Wendy, would you like to post this?
All right, so for the next session, we are slowly moving into our topic of the day. Since we are doing modified flipped classroom, before this, we would like to know about your ideas. Let's say if your boss or somebody tells you, oh, I would like you to conduct a flipped classroom. So what comes to your mind when you come across this term, flipped classroom? You can put in adjectives, words related to this term. Hold on, yeah. I would like to collect your responses on Menti. So let me share you the code, yeah. Hold on. Okay, so please go to uh, www.menti.com and key in the code here and put in all your responses. Then we will see uh, what word cloud with all the answers. You can send in multiple responses. Let's see whether we have interesting answers.
Let me try to put in some as well.
Miss Shamini, do you have problem accessing this? No. Oh, okay. So probably they are still thinking what to say. I guess I don't need to put in my response. I can just share with you my idea. You know, last time when I come across this term, flipped classroom, the the first thing that comes to my mind is uh, wasting of time. To be honest, yeah, because I know nothing about flipped classroom. When I heard about this, it's like people telling me, oh, flipped classroom means that you need to spend more time, prepare something different from what you usually do, because usually we do the traditional way of method. We will just go to class, lecture, and then at the end of the lecture, we will tell the student, okay, now you go and do your homework. Then we mark, and then next lesson we will give feedback, and then another new topic again. So flipped classroom is like you are trying to tell me I need to spend more time to prepare something different out of my class. That's what that comes to my mind. But slowly, um, this kind of change, because I know more about flipped classroom already. So probably something positive is there. So let's see whether our responses here, they are more towards positive comments or negative ones. I see one very negative one, which is students being lazy. Extra work, extra time to teach. Okay. We do have positive comments like what? Engagement, very good. Engagement, active learning, study anywhere, creative, okay. Learn by presenting. Okay, actually, flipped classroom is not entirely about presenting, yeah. So probably you gain some new ideas later on after this session, yeah. We will share our experience teaching using flipped classroom. So maybe you can use our ideas as well, because maybe now you think that flipped classroom is about presenting only. Hopefully our ideas can help you a bit. Like I said, there's no right or wrong, like what Miss Shamini said today. We are just sharing our experience. You might find that some of our ideas suit your classroom as well. You can use it. Some you might think that it's not suitable for your subject. Never mind. At least you can get some ideas, modify a bit, and suit to your subject probably. I think we have more answers. Student-centered learning, very good. Sharing. Ms. Shamini, any interesting ones that you see here?
I saw that term called study anywhere. That is really interesting when it comes to flip, which is pretty, yeah, accurate. You can study anywhere. And I also like, I noticed there's one answer says get ready to be the, but there's no complete sentence. I'm not pretty sure what is it about. Active learning, yes, that is also one way or one benefit of flipped classroom. Held virtually, well, but in a way, flipped classroom is not 100% held virtually because yeah, in my of course in my upcoming slides, I'm going to go through with you types of blended learning or flipped classroom, all the terms kind of thing. But of course, I'm not going to take up a lot of time. But yeah, maybe you may understand what is flipped classroom in general. Extra work is there that caught my attention. And I also noticed someone put extra time to teach. That caught my attention as well. That means uh, you have more time to educate the students. Nice concept.
However, I don't, in another way, it's not called extra time to teach. Probably a different way to teach, because usually we are the ones who will talk during the class. You conduct games, also you are the one who will administer the games, the quizzes, and so on. Later on, you will know that we can have different kinds or different method of conducting flipped classroom. You might find that actually it is not taking extra time for you to teach during the class. Probably you might find that flipped classroom is a bit relaxed, especially when it comes to your lecture or your class session, right, Shamini?
Yeah, I totally agree with it. With that, let's move to the next part, the next slide, where you actually go through about this flipped classroom model and also what is this blended learning in general. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the term blended learning, and to be honest, I feel okay. I've not had any research done on this but I believe that we all, in a way, use blended learning in our teaching, even before the pandemic. It's not just uh, after, even before. Blended learning is basically a way of teaching by not just lecturing, by not just talking for and the entire 3 hours, like how, um, the previous generation used to learn in college, right? We don't do that anymore. We don't talk for 3 hours anymore. Or we don't lecture for 3 hours anymore. Instead, we have these different way of doing this blended learning. It's always updating. Okay, like for the first one, we have this rotation model that is one of the most common way of blended learning. Perhaps when I say about it, then you say, oh yeah, I've done this blended learning before. All right. And then we have flex model. We have a la carte. Last time, last time it used to be called as self blend, but now I think they've modified again. You have to keep up with the terms. So they've modified it into a term called a la carte. Okay, like you go to all these fast food restaurants and all, and you choose a la carte. And the last one, we have enriched virtual model. So basically, these are the four basic way of blended learning. Okay, and I'm sure everyone have done at least one or two types of this teaching in our class, even before pandemic. All right, so rotation model is where you have face-to-face and online class, but based on the teacher's schedule. Okay, so the teacher will already give you, or lecturers already giving you a schedule saying that, okay, on these days, you attend online lessons, and on these days, you attend physical sessions. All right, so you'll be given a set of schedule, and you just follow that as a student. And of course, flex model is where, how to say, the delivery is through online. Students have to come to class. Okay, it's something like a recorded lecture and all, right? So As a lecturer, as an educator, you've already prepared all the materials online. However, in order to access those materials, the students will have to come to the campus and go to the lab, and then learn through that. So that's kind of a flex model where teachers not necessarily need to be there. And then we have the third one, which is the a la carte. It is somewhat similar to how we order food in restaurants. You choose certain items to be, for your to be on your plate. Choose, or you kind of like customize things. Same goes to learning as well. Students will get the benefit of choosing some courses, okay, some programs, I would say some courses to be learned through online, and some courses to be learned through physical. Okay, that means we have these both methods, okay, in class and online, but the students will choose, okay, I think I want to go physical in physical class for this particular course, or I want to go and do online classes. Okay, so that is a la carte. The students will have the chance of learning. And then we have this enriched virtual. And this is very interesting because students are responsible for the entire learning process. Okay, so as an educator, we just build the materials, we build the platform for them, we build a course, and students, they will actually learn at their own pace, own time, up to them whenever they are free. Of course, we also decide on a certain due dates, like they want to submit their coursework or what. So for enriched virtual model, the lectures, the classroom activities, and assignments, everything will be conducted through a platform, uh, like videos, lectures, and all. Students, it's up to them. They can either finish it off all in the first 2 weeks of their program, or they can wait until the last minute to enroll and do it. It's totally up to them. It's their own way. They take responsibility of their learning. So what is the role of the teacher here? Unless if the students have issues, if have some questions like, I don't understand why is it like this, I don't understand this topic, then they can come and approach the tutor, the lecturer, and ask for face-to-face clarification and so on, or perhaps get an online meeting and talk to the lecturer. Okay, so in another way, enriched virtual model is something like MOOC, right? Everything is given, you learn at your own pace, and you submit it, right? So in fact, even for this rotation model, right, we have station rotation model, lab rotation model, flipped classroom, which is our content for today, and we have individual rotation model. Also are 4 interesting ways of conducting lessons through blended learning. Okay, station rotation, I'm sure everyone have done it. We have 3 different stations or 4 different stations in class, like task A, task B, task C, task D. So you kind of like group them. You say, okay, these 5 students, you do task A first for 15 minutes. And then group B, another 5 or 6 students, you will do task D. Then another 5 to 6 students will be doing task C. So we don't say that, it's not everyone starts with task A. So everyone will have their own individual, not individual, assigned group task, and they will start from there. After 15 minutes, maybe they will rotate. Okay, second group will do task A, third group will do task B. So it's kind of rotation there. Lab rotation is the similar one as station rotation, but the only difference here is that they use lab. Okay, and the clumping, the grouping goes in labs. And let me talk about the individual rotation model. It's also something interesting, but I believe it is a little extra work for the lecturer because it is a personalized teaching. In our class, we'll have students with different learning speed. Some are slow learners, some are very smart, they'll finish their work within 5 minutes. Some of them will take like about 15 to 20 minutes to do it, right? So here under individual rotation model, the teachers will have a list of tasks to be done, from easy to difficult tasks, and students will have the authority to choose which one they want to do. Okay, they probably want to skip the easy one, they want to focus on the difficult ones. So as long as they complete like maybe 2 or 3 tasks, then they are done for the day. So you have a list of tasks, easy to difficult, and you let the students choose. So coming back to the last one, which is our flipped classroom model. Okay, as some of you are kind of aware of it, flipped classroom is where we kind of flip our whole teaching. All right, so moving on to the next slide, okay, where let me just give you a comparison. Okay, so for traditional classroom learning approach is where students will come to the class and then lecturers will lecture and then they go back and do homework. Correct? So before the class, before they come to your physical or even online class, they have no idea what this topic is going to be about. Okay, so in a way, it is more like spoon feeding, because they come to class, we teach them, and then they go back and do their homework. Right? However, flipped classroom, the next slide, is totally different, where students will take the responsibility of learning. They will do some sort of the research first, or they will do some sort of a learning first. And then in class, your task is not to lecture anymore. You don't go and sit there and talk for 1 hour, or even in online class, you don't talk for 1 hour. No. Okay, you do discussion-based tasks. Okay, you do discussion-based tasks, you do activities, you can do like station rotation activities in class. All right, you don't have to lecture at all. And after the session, after the class sessions, you kind of like ask them to reflect on their progress. Okay, what have they learned? Have they achieved something or not? Things like that. Right. So moving on to the next slide. Okay. Again, in Bloom's taxonomy perspective here, for our traditional classroom, usually transmit the content. We give them the knowledge. We give them the content, ask them to remember, understand, and apply. This is how most of us actually learned before in school and even in college. All right. But then again, in students, they will kind of like create the content or evaluate the content, kind of start analyzing it. Right. But for flipped classroom, again, it is flipped. It is totally flipped. Where the easier part, where remembering, understanding, and applying and all, it happens when students own pace. They will see if I'm free, okay, I want to learn this topic. So they will do some kind of a research. They will do some kind of a reading before coming to the class. And in class is the part where they will do their homework or their activities. Okay. If students don't understand, they will come and teach. They will come and guide. So our role is not a lecturer's role anymore. Our role is more of a facilitator. All right. Definitely not teaching or not lecturing. Okay, we just facilitate them. So in another way, in an easier picture as a whole, for flipped classroom, students will learn first. Okay, they don't get it. They will kind of do their own preparation first, and then they will apply those knowledge in class. Okay, so first they remember and they understand, and then we apply these knowledge in class during the sessions, the 3-hour sessions or 2-hour sessions, and then they kind of like check on their understanding. All right. Okay, so moving on to the next one.
All right, so my turn to tell you the principal goals of flipping. Why do we want to do flip? Okay, so we do know that last time when we were teaching using the traditional way, what we do is we lecture a lot. Students will just sit there, listen to us. They will passively receive knowledge from us. However, what happened after the class, when you ask them to ask them a few questions, or maybe you start asking them to do quizzes or practices, they cannot recall at all because they just sit there passively listening to you without practicing. We do know that when we want students to grasp the knowledge, they will need to practice. If they just listen without doing anything, they will not be able to remember anything. So why do we want to do flipping? It's because we want to make the classroom a more interactive learning environment. What do we mean by interactive? It means that there's at least two-way communication. So we provide the chance for more classroom activities. For example, you can do discussions where students discuss among themselves, and then they present whatever they understood to you, and then you can see whether they really understood what you have taught them or not, what they have learned. And then you can do also games, as in to access their understanding as well. Then you can also do Q&A session. So there's a two-way communication for you to check their learning progress, because the basic lecturing, whatever that they have to learn, has already been done at home. So during the class, it's a time for you to check how much they have learned. It's not for you to teach them anymore. And the next thing is to enable students to learn at their own pace. Like what Miss Shamini said, we have fast learners, we have slow learners, and then some of the students, they might learn in a different way compared to the rest of the students. So we know that some of the students, they cannot grasp the knowledge at the same pace. So if we are teaching everything during the class, they don't have enough time to maybe ask questions to you during the class. So they will just prefer to keep quiet. They don't dare to interrupt you and ask you to clarify. So what we do for flipping is to allow this kind of student to review themselves. Maybe they will take, some will take like 1 hour to study. Some of them, they take 30 minutes. So how are you going to, during the class, if you were to teach, if you give them the same time to learn, of course, the slow learners, they will have a bit of difficulty. So we allow the student to participate in their own learning. Maybe they need to listen, and then at the same time they write down notes and so on. While some other students, they just listen, then they can already remember, they can understood. And then during the class, you can make sure that, oh, they have already reviewed the lesson. So during the class time, they can participate in the activities you provided for them and to apply their knowledge. And number three, we can also, it can also help the lecturers or the instructor to, sorry, okay, it has disappeared, hold on, yeah. Okay, it can help us to tailor the course to individual student needs. Through flip activities, we can gauge the students' understanding, as in, because we prepare the lecture earlier, they learn on their own. So sometimes you also prepare some kind of activities to review, maybe a short quiz at the end for the flip session, or maybe they can post something, okay, like a review kind of activity, as in they post something that they have learned or something that they couldn't understand. Then from the responses that you get there, you can actually adjust the level of your classroom activities. So from the responses that you receive from the students, you know that, oh, this particular student, he or she doesn't understand this part of the lecture, or maybe most of the students, they don't understand this part. So during your classroom or your lecture, your class time, you can actually focus more on this part. And also you provide a more personalized learning experience for them, of course, when they participate in those activities. You no longer have to, you know, if you don't have enough time to focus on everything, at least from the responses or from their results, you can see that, oh, I actually need to focus on this part only. The rest they could understand already, so you don't need to spend more time on it. Okay, so let's look at this picture. For flipped learning, we focus more on student engagement, of course, like what you have, some of you have responded just now in Mentimeter. Yes, it's about student engagement. We want student engagement during the class time. And then we have these 4 pillars that build up to this student engagement. First one is, some of you have already mentioned also, you can learn anywhere. For the students, they have a flexible environment. You can rearrange the learning space. No longer they have to learn in the class. They can choose when and where they want to learn. Probably, our class time is in the morning. However, this kind of, some of the students, they prefer, they can only focus at night. So the flip activities that you provided, they can do it at night. And maybe they can understand better, they can remember better. So it's a flexible environment for the student. Second thing is the learning culture. Some of you said that in the Mentimeter just now, it's student-centered learning. Yes, because we want to shift the culture from teacher-centered to learner-centered approach. We want them to actively involve in the knowledge construction, especially when they participate in the activities, the flipped activities that you have provided to them. Number 3 is intentional content. When we are providing flipped classroom activities, we actually determine what we need to teach and what we want the students to explore on their own. That means if I find that this part of the lesson or this topic is something that they can learn on their own, probably they can, it's something easier, okay, that you don't need to explain a lot during the class. They can explore on their own. Okay, then you can put that content or that part of the topic into convert it into a flipped lesson for them. So that's when you can maximize your classroom time for active learning. So during the active learning, probably it's something more complicated, or you want them to discuss so that they have better memory or better understanding of the content. And lastly, professional educators. What does it mean by professional educators? We know that as an educator, our main job is to teach and make sure the students understand. However, it also includes observing the students. We also need to provide feedback. We have to assess the students. So when you are doing flipped classroom, you are actually doing some kind of formative assessment to guide the students. Slowly, you can find out, oh, these students need more help in this area. Um, it's not like until the end only you find out, oh, they don't understand this, and you have to do revision from the start until the end. So it helps you to observe their understanding level. You can also provide feedback according to the segment that you have provided to them. Like during the flip, you know that this part, the student make a lot of errors. So during your active learning time, maybe you can provide another activity which is similar that helps them to improve. After you provide feedback, then you can see during the activity, did they improve themselves? You can also assess how much they have understood. It helps you to also reflect, help the student to reflect and improve themselves. Okay, so just now I mentioned our main goals of flipped learning. Now I am going to tell you why you need to flip. Okay, like I already mentioned just now, it's customized and engaging. Okay, it allows the student to do to apply their knowledge. For example, like you guys said just now, they do presentations, they do discussion, and some of you do problem solving also during the class. It's more engaging instead of passively sitting there. Okay, and it helps you to also identify problematic parts so that you can emphasize during the class. And next is, I know flipped classroom, it means some of you might understand it as in we have to record lectures and then put it on our LMS system for a student to review. Actually, sometimes even though you find that it is so troublesome, but it actually helps the student to review for their exams, especially now that we have hybrid lessons. So some of them, during the end of the semester, they might forget whatever they have learned during the first class. So they need something like a recording to help them review. They need to watch the recording again to review for their lesson. So flipped classroom, in a way, it can help them to review the lesson instead of them coming to you, keep on disturbing you, miss, this topic I forgot already. Can you please explain to me? Okay, you can just tell them, okay, there's a recording that I have posted there. Do you remember? Okay, you can go and watch it again to review. Number 3 is probably you might find that students, they are more satisfied and they can perform better. Why? Because you review the difficult part or you review the part where they make a lot of mistakes. So during the lesson, when they get your feedback and then they perform better in the activities during the class, they feel more satisfied because they can actually understood already. They will of course perform better because they practice again during the class. Okay, they experience active learning, they see their friends, they discuss with their friends, of course, they can perform better. And it will help to speed up syllabus. This one you might find, how can this flipped classroom speed up syllabus? It can. Let me provide you with a real example from Miss Shamini. She did flipped classroom in her for her class, one of her subject, and it actually helped her to speed up her syllabus. Miss Shamini, would you like to take over?
Oh, yes. So I hope you guys are still with us, yeah. So when it comes to speeding up this syllabus, this is the part where it actually benefits me pretty much. Okay. So for example, like I taught English grammar and usage. That's one of the course for foundation students. All right. And for English grammar and usage, of course, one of the most tensed topic, I would say, among students is tenses. Okay, because whenever we kind of like teach about tenses, they were like, Miss, it is very difficult to remember, Miss, how come there are a lot of aspects, Miss? How can you remember 12 tenses in one class? It's quite difficult, especially those who have are slightly weaker, on a weaker side. So what I did is that, okay, for grammar, you have 12 tenses, right? And you have 4 aspects. So what I did was I flipped one of the aspect, which is the simple tenses. Simple tenses are pretty much basic. Okay, you don't have to lecture these to them again, or you don't have to go through with them again. this is something that at least that they know. So simple tenses like past tense, simple past, simple present, simple future. Okay, all these subtopics, all these parts, tenses, I will give them some notes. I will give them some videos on it, and the videos like would be like something like Edpuzzle, where they don't just watch video and do nothing. They watch and they answer questions, right? And activities as well. I've prepared some activities. So all these simple aspects are something that they've already covered before, okay, before coming to the class. And of course, I also give them uh, uh, some knowledge, some certain brief knowledge on the other aspects like perfect tenses, continuous tenses, and perfect continuous. Okay, I will give them a very brief introduction and content or materials on that. However, okay, this allows me to actually focus on these three aspects more. In that 3 hours, right, I cannot be covering 4 aspects. Feels like one, repetition, and number two, towards the end, students will go like, oh, Miss, is very difficult. So what I did, one aspect, you do it at home. Complete everything. All right. If you have questions, you come and ask me. Here in class, for the 3 hours, I am only going to focus on these 3 aspects. So in a way, you are speeding it up, okay? Instead of covering these 4 aspects in 2 different weeks, I have covered it in just 1 week, okay? By doing flip. One aspect do as a flip, and the other 3 aspects you do it in class. Okay, so in a way, it benefited quite a lot of students because they've already done this easy part. Only the difficult parts they come here and they kind of learn more on that. So moving on to the next part, okay? We have already shared with you on what is a flip, okay? What is the principles of flip, okay? Why you have to use it, how flipping can actually help you, and we have already like kind of like share these things with you. So now, okay, it's your time where I'm going to invite you all to share your experience. I'm sure you have done some sort of this flip classroom method in one of your lessons or what, right? So while you have implemented these methods, I'm sure you have overcome some issues with this. And I can already predict one common issue, but I will tell you in a bit. But what are your issues when you try to implement flipped classroom? So I would really appreciate if you can start sharing some of your experience with us so that we can give some uh, some of our experiences as well. Right? So please type your answers in the chat box. What are your issues when it comes to online teaching? Sorry, not online teaching. Oh, when it comes to flipped teaching. Wow, that's great, Pitwen. So that means that you are already a pro in flip lessons. Like it's kind of easy thing to do. Like for me personally, one issue that I always face when it comes to doing flipped classroom is that students, they don't actually do their work that they're supposed to do before class. We all know our students, especially flip, right, where it requires them to do their task. It requires them to do their part first and then come to our class and we guide them from there. But the problem that I face is that some of the students, they come to class with zero knowledge about the topic. When we ask them to do it earlier, they will say, oh, Miss, I forgot. Sorry, Miss, I was busy. Sorry, Miss, I had assignments to do, so I didn't study. So all these reasons will come up. Thus, it it actually defeats the purpose of flip. So this is something that I personally encountered. In fact, till now, till this semester, even you have face-to-face classes, right? Online classes or face-to-face classes, still facing students' reason or excuses on this, where they don't do their homework and not really homework, I would say, but they don't do the required learning or they don't watch the lecture videos or so forth. I totally agree with you, Dr. Wong. There is definitely a difference between the level of students as well. Because I feel bachelor students, I mean degree students, they are very independent in a way. Okay, so even when I thought by writing and referencing, this it's the same course, but I'm teaching both diploma and degree. So when I implement this flip, right, I usually have very minimal issues with degree students because, you know, in a way they take responsibility of their own learning, they know that they have to do it. And when it comes to class, usually the lessons will be very smooth and all my planned activities will go on as, you know, as planned. However, when it comes to diploma students, you know, they need that extra push for them to really go and do their, you know, readings and all. I think we have really summed up most of what I've experienced here. And yeah, and foundation students also. I noticed some foundation students, they are slightly better. I don't know how is it in UC, but for PG, we have slightly better foundation students. So even we can do a lot of flip tasks with them where they learn first. That's where my English grammar was very useful because I asked them to do all the simple aspects at home. And in fact, even if I want to test them on simple aspects in class, they all will do very well, no issues at all. It's just that diploma students, they definitely need a little bit more guidance. Yeah. They, yes, and and also I like to take the point where they need uh, instructions. Okay, the instructions basically, I feel it needs to be spelled out like line by line, right? Any other responses? Miss Wendy, did you had any issues when you first implemented this lesson?
Like you said just now, instructions. You know, I am always teaching international students in intensive English. I'm not even teaching. I was teaching diploma or degree students, but most of the time I'm teaching intensive English where they just finished their high school and then they are waiting to enter to our diploma or degree. It's just that they haven't got their IELTS requirements, so they cannot enter to the core program. And can you imagine, like high school students, they first came to university, they are they are not used to the way of our teaching style, the way that they should learn. So when you want to conduct flipped lesson, you tell them, okay, I want you to do this before you come to the next class. Then they will be wondering like, huh? I pay to come for the class, but you ask me to do something on my own at home. And then even if you give them instruction verbally, they don't understand. As in, for example, if you tell them, okay, I want you to go to open learning, okay, you do this, okay, later on you need to post this, you need to post that. Then after that, they will come to you. Miss, that day you said we have to do something, right? What is it? Where to post? How to do that? Okay, so it's like the effort of you explaining during the class has, gone, defeated the purpose of you explaining. You still have to, do it again. So for me now, what I will usually do is, because I know they will have this kind of problem, I will put all my instruction in words, in full sentences in my slide. And then after that, when my class ended, I will screenshot that particular page, send it to them through, for example, our WhatsApp group, okay, to let them uh, make them aware that this is something that you need to do, yeah, don't forget, yeah. So I think students, especially this kind of students and diploma students, they need a lot of reminders. Sometimes they forgot what they need to do. They forgot there's a thing that they need to do before the class, so we need to remind them again. That's the biggest issue that I face.
Definitely. I saw a few of them were typing, but then no one responds. What happened? Well, there is a huge gap. Yes, I'm about to talk about that as well, Dr. Wong, because in terms of uh, they just left their school, and when they come to tertiary education, they are still expecting things to be done as how it was in school. Especially in school, teachers, they just give all the materials. So I personally feel all these efforts should start from the secondary school itself. But I can see there are slight changes even in secondary schools nowadays, especially after the pandemic, right? Some teachers have actually adapted these these split sessions where students will have to do their work first. Students will have to study, outside, and then face-to-face class, they start to do activities and all. So there is a slight change in education, the way they teach also. I think it just takes time for those students to come to tertiary level, and I think it will be more easier on our side in terms of handling all these issues. More typing? Let's just wait for a while and see what they have to say in terms of typing. Another one more issue that I noticed, besides not listening to, not following the instruction, is that they perhaps they feel that they are overloaded with things, so they feel, okay, it's not important for me to um, do it before class. In fact, teachers are going to cover that anyways, so it's okay, those kind of things. Yes, I totally agree. It's no longer feeding them with knowledge. Okay, it's more like we are guiding them. That's why I always use the word facilitate. Okay, we are facilitating their what is it called? Their discussion. We are trying to follow whether they are doing in a right way or not, and those things. So, so moving on, we have already got some issues here. Okay, I've even shared some of my issues that I faced. So first thing first, um, based on these issues that I've encountered, based on these issues that my colleagues used to share with us, even they had issues when they want to implement this flip model and so on. So, how to conduct a good modified lesson, especially flipped lesson? Okay, I strongly believe we cannot ask them to flip a lesson halfway through, which means like if it's a 12 weeks lesson semester, we cannot ask them to flip, or we cannot flip a lesson in week 4, cannot flip a lesson in week 9. No, because they are very used to getting all this information, or learning the normal way, and then suddenly, teacher asks us to do work before, they will have that shock kind of thing. So personally, I feel the first thing you need to do when you meet your students, okay, the first day of the semester, is establish the ground rules of your session, of your class. So this is how it is going to be conducted. This is how this lesson is going to be conducted. Okay, I am not here to lecture for 2 or 3 hours, because I know it's not very, beneficial. Therefore, we are going to do a lot of flip activities. You have to take responsibility of your own learning. Okay, we have to establish these rules to them, so that they will have like, oh, okay, this lecturer, this subject, the teacher won't feed me with information. The teacher won't lecture. So whatever it is, I need to take responsibility of my own learning. Okay. Again, students, like what Dr. Wong said, students, they come from schools. Okay. They have been spoon-fed the entire 12 to 18, 17 years. All the information usually will be given. They teach in class. So they come to tertiary education with that mentality. So when they are here with that mentality, it's very difficult for us to change them as well, personally. Okay, because they are used to different learning styles, right? So we should stop spoon feeding the students. We, as in not just me, not just Miss Wendy, not just Dr. Wong or what, but the entire lecturers here should adapt to this, like stop spoon feeding them with information. Then they will have the perception that, okay, tertiary education means this. It's not about how it used to be in school. We have to take effort in learning and all. We need to prepare them with, real world experience. We cannot be giving them all the information. They have to find it on their own, right? So establish these rules to them first, so that they are aware that tertiary education in colleges, these are how it's happened, how it's going to be. All right. So the second one, like what Ms. Wendy mentioned, of course, we need to provide them with clear instructions, okay, especially for all these online lessons and all. Just remember, yeah, they are not guided during all these asynchronous sessions. Okay, they are on their own. Yes, of course, they can do learning on their own and all. But for some, like for example, coursework and all these things, right? You need to make sure that you provide them with a clear set of instruction, so that they don't have the, they are not confused with it. Okay. Like Miss Wendy said, prepare it in a slide and then, share it with them. Of course, this is not sharing or spoon feeding information. This is certain things that we want them to do. So instead of just verbally telling them, okay, first I want you to upload this. First, secondly, I want you to create a video, and then third, re-upload again. No, instead of saying that verbally, make sure all the instructions are written clearly and posted in all the LMS. Okay, so that they know what they are doing. Okay, later on, they will get used to it. Perhaps the first 2 or 3 times, they will feel like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to upload or not? But eventually, they know, okay, this course, this subject, this lecture, this is what I'm supposed to do. By end of the week, I have to submit a reflection report. By end of the week, I have to complete all these assessments. Again, first few weeks, it's going to be difficult. Okay, you need to, again, remind them on the rules again and again and again. Right? Eventually, I guess they will get it. Okay. Moving on to the next one is create engaging uh, uh, learning activities. In fact, in terms of flip, when I say flip, a lot of students, in fact, during pandemic time, many of them tend to just upload YouTube videos in their LMS and expecting students to watch those videos and then come for their online classes, right? Of course, students will have the question like, why am I enrolled in a university and just watching YouTube videos and doing the exam, it's like, why am I doing this? So that question itself is already embedded in their mind, and they will lose interest in the course. Therefore, don't just post videos in terms of content sharing, okay? Especially, YouTube videos that were created by someone else. Of course, if you have the time and the luxury of time, you can create your own videos. But again, don't overwhelm them with videos. Have a variety. Try to modify your flip lessons, especially in your LMS page. Okay, you can create like games. Okay, there are a lot of applications. Like if I would like to share some of it, there is a thing called learning apps. Okay, that application is pretty good. Where you don't just ask them to answer MCQ question. There are a lot of other ways to answer it. And then of course the common ones like Kahoot and quizzes, but Kahoot is slightly fading away. Even students are getting tired of Kahoot. So perhaps not Kahoot, maybe you can focus on quizzes or Quizlet. Okay, all these platforms are something that, you can create games and embed that in your LMS and make them, do it, try it. We have generally like escape kind of activities. Of course, then again, you need that time to prepare. But then again, just remember you're just preparing it for one time so that the following semesters you don't have to, prep it or invest a lot of time in preparing. You can just use the previous materials. Okay, so games are one of it. And then if you insist that, yes, I have to share with them the video, only then they will understand, then use Edpuzzles. Okay, I'm sure Edpuzzle is also a common way where they watch and they answer question. All right, while watching it, and then they have to have a certain amount of completion there. All right. In fact, you can even ask them to create a content. Okay, you don't have to create infographics and share them in LMS. You can ask your students to do it. Okay, as a part of a flip lesson. For my what course is that? ALE also. Okay, for tenses, I don't teach tenses in class because, again, tenses is something very heavy for weaker students. So what I do, I'll ask them to create on their own and share their posters and present. Of course, present is one of the activities here in class. Ask them to discuss why is this continuous perfect continuous, why this is past perfect, all these things. They will do those kind of discussion there. So try to create engaging activities there. And last but not the least, as a lecturer, again, yeah, you are not there to lecture them. Okay, don't spoon feed them with information. You are there to guide them. You are there to facilitate them. You are there to provide feedback. Of course, after asking the students to do some tasks and discussions and even some activities and all, right, you have to provide feedback in a way that, yes, you are following the right way of learning this particular content. Yes, you have understood the content well. No, I think there is a misunderstanding. This is not how it's supposed to be. Why not you go and, do some more research about it and get back to me tomorrow? All these kind of things. I usually do that for my grammar class. When students are having difficulties to learn a certain aspects of grammar, I will provide them feedback. Of course, there are some activities, and then I'll say why this is not past perfect, why this is continuous, past continuous. Why not you go and compare, or why not you go and discuss with your group mates, and then you come and tell me why. All of these feedback providing and all happens in the class, right? Of course, it's very difficult to provide one-on-one feedback. I'm not saying that you have to give feedback to each and every one of them. No, but after observing the way that they are doing that particular activities, after observing the way that they have done the discussion, the presentation and all, you can come up with a general review, a general feedback, okay, and provide this to them. A lot of people, what they do, they just mark their exercises and just give it. They don't provide feedback like, hey, I think you need to focus more on this topic. Okay, so again, it is very, very important that you provide a feedback. Okay, over to you, Wendy.
All right, it's my turn again to um, tell you something different from what we have understood from this flipped lesson. Okay, the first one is, of course, when we are planning for a modified flipped lesson, we have to be flexible. The normal flipped lesson that we know is we record a lecture, put it there, student watch it, then they do a quiz, for example. So actually you can be more flexible, now that we have a lot of social media influence, and the students are very, very good at those things. So those social media thingy might be interesting for them. They might show their interest when you ask them to do something related to social media, instead of just watching a video and answer quiz question. So maybe you can put yourself in their shoes, not only watching video. Of course, I'm not saying that you don't do that anymore. Okay, it's just that maybe you can do a variety. First week, you record a video and ask them to answer quiz question. Second week, don't do the same thing anymore. You don't feel bored. Probably the students, they start to feel like again, video again, quiz again, okay, those kind of thing. So it can be changed to something more interesting. For example, you can ask them to post Insta stories, gather responses, and then maybe what else? TikTok videos, that kind of thing. They will be more interested because it's something more, how to say, to their age. Okay, their surroundings, their environment is actually full of this kind of things nowadays, Facebook videos and all. So probably you can be a little bit more flexible. You can modify your traditional way of doing this flipped activities. Take photos and share, post it, and then maybe, for example, like English classes, what you can do is, okay, let's say today you are doing tenses, okay, like Miss Shamini, she's doing tenses. Probably you can tell them, okay, I want you to take a photo, and then under the photo, you need to give me a caption in present tense. Or second sentence, maybe you need to write it in a present continuous tense. And then from there, during the class, you can give them feedback, like the sentences, did they use the tenses correctly or not? Instead of just telling them, okay, now I'll give you a verb, I want you to construct sentences. It's so boring. For them, taking photos, taking videos, some more interesting. So be a little bit more flexible on it. And of course, second thing is you can switch roles. Like previously, what we do is we as the lecturer, we record videos. Okay, and then they watch us talking, explaining. But actually, sometimes you don't need to do that. You can switch roles. You don't need to be the teacher teaching them. You can sometimes be the students and they be the teachers. You don't need to, do everything on your own. So, Miss Shamini, you want to share your experience, like how you make your students to become the teacher in their class?
Okay, so like this part here, switching role, as I've mentioned, right? I don't know. Most of the examples are here based on language courses, but again, try to reflect on your expert subject as well. Yeah. Okay. So like for tenses, right, as I've mentioned, I only focus on three aspects. So when I focus on three aspects, I don't lecture or I don't explain things pretty much. Okay. I will ask my students to create an infographic. That means in groups, okay, they will be assigned on a specific tenses. Like there are like about what 9 groups, then 9 different tenses. Okay, we'll assign those tenses, and then they will have to do their own research. They have to come out with infographic, of course, from Canva or Pictochart. Infographic like what does this tense, when do you use the tense, and what is the timeline, what is the structure, specific structure of this tense, and provide some examples of sentences using this tense, and underline where is the key word of this particular tense. Okay, all these you put it in a nice instruction, okay, and then you post it. So they will actually learn on that specific tense. Not just that, okay, I know they will usually go and copy paste and all right. So what I will ask them to do in addition is that in your group, you create questions, okay, using quizzes, okay. Using quizzes, create about 5 questions related to your tense. All right, let's say you are in charge of perfect, present perfect, past perfect. Then you create a group, some students will create the infographic and some students will have to create questions. And what they have to do is in class, okay, as I mentioned, in class, I don't have to conduct the games. Students, they will have to present the tense. Past perfect is this, and then let's try it out. And then these students, these group members, they will host the game. So when they host the game, it's not just that, they play and then, okay, next. I ask them to explain why this is the right answer, why this is wrong answer. So in a way, they are actually sharing or they are actually teaching their students as well. So, in a way, your role again is to facilitate, to observe whether it's right or not, whatever that they're saying, the instructions that they are giving, not instruction, the explanation that they're giving, is it correct or not? Because there were some instances where students themselves, they are not very sure of the particular tense and they give wrong information during presentation. So that is when you step up and say, no, that is not the right explanation. The right explanation is this is the reason. So you kind of like pinpoint it to that group and also in general. All right. So in a way, you don't have to do it all by yourself. So for a change, they will have different faces teaching them and conducting the game. And, they all will have fun, especially when students are hosting the games. They all laugh and they kind of like more relaxed compared to me hosting the game and they'll be very serious because they are very scared or shy and all. So this is one way where I modified the lesson and I asked them to do tasks. We kind of switch roles basically. And in fact, like one of the examples that Ms. Wendy mentioned, like take a picture, write a caption in a certain tenses. Again, you don't really have to give the feedback. You can even ask them to do peer review. That means this particular student exchange your photos. Exchange your photos and then we read the captions. Is it the right caption according to the tense? Is it wrong? So in a way, students are looking at other students' work and they are also learning, oh, okay, this is interesting, this is nice, but this is wrong. So they write down in their comments. Okay, again, we switch role. Of course, we stay back, stand back and we also observe whether these reviews are correct or not. We don't have to go through everything one by one. So these are some of the things that I kind of do in my class that make my flip lessons more easier.
Thank you, Miss Shamini. So, like we said at first during the responses that you guys have given, you said that it's taking a lot of time, extra time, Actually, by doing this, it actually save your effort and save your time as well. You don't need to prepare everything. Actually, the students will prepare the games, they will prepare the lesson, they present to you. You just be a facilitator there, like what Dr. Wong said. Educators today should switch our roles, okay, from a lecturer, a teacher, to actually a facilitator. So you don't need to prepare everything. You just facilitate your lesson. And next, we will look at the next one, which is I am not sure whether you guys have heard of this uh, term before, which is called the in-class flip. Okay, so just to give you a bit of idea, what is actually the in-class flip. If you want to know more later on, you can go and read. There are quite a few sources online that teach you or share you the ideas of doing in-class flip. Basically, it is something like rotation method. So, for example, you are changing you make your classroom setting into different stations. So, for example, station one, there will be computers there or laptops there, uh, putting up your video that you have pre-recorded. So when the students are at station one, they watch the video. After that, they move on to the next station. Station number two, probably they will have to apply their knowledge to create something out. It can be some practices that you have created. Maybe they need to do a reading regarding the topic that you want to teach, and then they produce something out, and then they move on to the next station where they have to play a game related to the knowledge that you want them to learn on that day. So it can be maybe you can set up one station which is they need to do independent work. Next station, they do group work. Okay, everything that you are planning, you are making every station that you plan, you set up on that day itself. It's something that requires them to apply the knowledge. So you can set up even the last station, the final station, they have to maybe produce something bigger, something heavier out individually, so that you can assess whether they really learn something or not, which is quite similar to what Miss Shamini has said just now, the rotation model. It allows the student to learn, to recall the knowledge, to apply. Then at the end, you can see from their performance, because you are doing an assessment at the end. They have to produce something out, they have to do an assessment. So you can do this the in-class flip as well, right? So next we are going to, after listening to us for so long, it's time to have a break. You can have a 15 minutes break. It's 10:45, so you can have your coffee break, your washroom break until 11 a.m. So go and have something to eat, wash your face. We will see you back at 11 a.m. Yeah?
Treating acne with harsh chemicals can damage the skin barrier. New Icon
Hi everyone, it's already 11:01. Just to check whether you are all back here, can you just type in the chat box, tell us what did you eat for your breakfast? Share with us the food that you ate this morning. So for me, it was a cup of Milo O and roti. Dr. Wong, you said Dr. Wong, is that your breakfast? Coffee and black coffee. Bee hoon. Okay, we have coffee. Everyone has coffee. Are you guys the type of person that you must have a cup of coffee to start your day?
Yes, Miss Wen.
So if you don't have your coffee, it means you are not ready to work yet.
Yeah, you just feel like, oh, this day is not started. Something is wrong. Like yesterday, I did have coffee and I just don't feel good at all until I had my first sip of coffee. I don't know, I just don't feel it as a normal day.
Okay, so from the chat box here, we see Dr. Wong is here, Miss Tan is here, Miss Karen, Miss Nalini is here also. Then I can see Dr. Hao is typing. Oh, soybean milk, very healthy. Okay, Miss Shamini, shall we move on to the next activity? Okay, so we have actually shared with you guys things about modified flipped classroom. So now is the time for you guys to do some activities. So let's move on to our activity number 1, which is an individual work. We are going to give you 20 minutes. You will come up with a lesson plan, modified flipped lesson. So don't worry, we will give you a template. In that template, it will show you, it has a table that you need to fill in what are the free activities that you want to do for your that particular topic. And then during the class, what are you going to do? Then after the class, what do you intend to do as well? So you fill in that template. Later on, we will share our ideas. Okay, we will do peer review to see, you know, sometimes when you plan your lesson, you thought that it's the perfect lesson. However, when you share it with your colleague, they will give you some better ideas to improve your lesson plan. So we will do a peer review later on. So here is the template. You can, if you feel comfortable using your phone to type, so probably you can use your phone to scan, or if not, you can use your laptop to key in the link and download the template. So maybe Ms. Shamini, you can share the link in the chat box so that it's easier for them to download the plan. Yeah, we will wait for the link. Right, so it's 11:05, so I will let you guys do your lesson planning until 11:25. All right, you can start now.
Okay. So again, just to inform you, this is not something that you can edit here. You will have to download this uh, file first. And after you have downloaded the file, okay, fill in your details, your name. This is just an example, your details. And just think about one course that you want to flip. Okay, and then the topic, what topic is it? And the class duration. So class duration is usually, commonly it's about 3 hours, right? And then write your lesson learning outcome. If you can't write three, you can just maintain at one or two. Okay, what is the outcome that you want the students to achieve? And then here you list the activities. All right. And when you list your activities, it will be very good if you could share with us the platform or some technological tools that you will be using for those activities. Okay, whether you are going to use generally or whether you're going to use Learning app or whether you want to use YouTube videos or whether you want to use social media to convey some things, okay, it's totally up to you, right? So please, before lesson, you list down what you're supposed to do during lesson and also after the lesson, what you are planning to do. Okay, so just remember, you have to download this file, not edit the file.
All right, everybody, have you finished? I see a few responses in the chat box. Um, in a short while, you guys will be put into different breakout rooms. So when you are in the breakout room, I would like everybody to share, like explain. I know you have prepared your table, you have posted in the chat box, but maybe you can explain verbally to your teammates in the same breakout room and get feedback from them to, have some improvement. Maybe they have better ideas, they have more interesting ideas to help you to improve your pre-activities. I can see we have a few like upload notes and upload videos. Maybe after you present to your group members, they have better ideas, more interesting ideas that you can put them in your lesson plan, right? So remember, it has to be modified flipped classroom method. So that means things that we shared with you, we hope that you can utilize it in your lesson plan. So think about it, and maybe you can edit your lesson plan to make it more interesting. But of course, don't worry, later on we can give you some suggestion to let you have better ideas. Okay. All right, ready? We will need Hazim to create the breakout room for us. So please hold on for a while. Once you are in your breakout room, you can start your discussion.
Hazim?
Hello, yeah. I am opening the room now.
All right, thank you very much, Hazim.
You are in the room already.
Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope you had a good chat with your group members in the breakout room. All right, so Miss Shamini and we are very excited to listen to your plan. I hope you did some changes in your lesson plan also. Okay, so we would like to hear from you your modified flipped classroom lesson plan. Okay, so let's choose a few of our friends here to share their lesson plan, or somebody here can volunteer if you are very confident with your plan. Anybody would like to volunteer?
Okay, hello. I would like to volunteer because I want feedback. Okay, not because I am confident. I want feedback.
Good, good, good. All right.
All right. Give me a second. I think I need to share my screen, or
Yes, you may. Can you?
I can, but I don't know if you guys can see it. You guys see a Word document at the front?
I think it's still
It's-
loading.
Loading, I think it's still dark. I don't see anything yet. Okay, now we can see.
See, yeah. All right.
Yes.
So for the topic, the reason why I want to share is because first of all, this is a accounting paper, so something that deals with numbers. So I want to get feedback on how to improve in terms of flipping a classroom for something that involves teaching numbers lah. So the topic that I'll be covering is accruals, okay, where they will need to understand what is this accruals concept, how are the adjustments, okay, that means what like debit, credit, and then for the next LRO is to basically like the final outcome for the accounting, how will it appear in the profit or loss account? Okay, so two parts lah. So most of the flipped classroom will be conducted for the first LLO. The second LLO, that one I need to teach them passively lah, because it is something new. So I need to go through step by step of how it will appear, how it will be shown. So before the class, okay, so first thing they need to understand. So I'll give them like a video in open learning on what is this matching concept. So they go through it first, understand what is this concept. Then after that, we'll have a little bit of some learning activities. Activities in the open learning to gauge lah, okay, before they start. Okay, so what did they understand about accruals concept? Maybe some line matching, okay, from item A match to item B, C, or D, okay, to make sure that they understand what is in this concept first lah, okay, to gauge them first. Then after that, a little bit of homework that they need to be doing is that they need to prepare lah, okay, before coming to class. Is they need to understand what is this accruals, okay, so they need to in their own time go and do some research, check textbooks online or whatever to find out what is this accruals things first. Then at the start of the class, during the class, so we will ask them lah, okay, what is accruals, where they will need to put their answer into a platform, example Kahoot, so that we can gauge their understanding of what is this, whether or not they really understand or did they go to a wrong direction. Okay, so after we see what is in Kahoot, then we rough out, okay, we brush up, okay, what is the understanding of accruals, so that everyone, okay, can understand lah. Then after that, some unfortunate students, I mean some selected students that we got from last week, okay, that I informed them that they would be coming in front of the class to explain to the class, okay, what is their accruals, okay, how will it be classified in accountings, okay. So this group of students, okay, if they were good students, they would have consulted me to make sure that they prepared in the right direction. If they are not, then I guess we'll see lah what they presenting over there. So once they're done, again, so we'll have some discussion again to correct, okay, if there's any errors that they did, or to add in further information of what did they presented in front. So, and then that will run up the LLO1 lah, okay, where it's the theory part of accruals. So for the LLO2 is the part where I will be teaching lah, okay, the passive learning part where I need to teach them, okay, the accounting things lah, okay, here where will appear debit, credit, all those things under there. Then it will round up the LLO2. So then the after class is the one where, so we give them some activities again in open learning at the platform. They can put in their understanding, okay, their own thoughts and things like that, okay, and some questions again, okay, to further reinforce what was covered, and then I will give them feedback lah in the open learning itself. Oh yeah, then for the LO2, apart from just listening to me, we will give some classwork questions lah. Give some classwork questions for them to do, and then again see how they're doing over there. Yeah, so that's all from my part. Thank you. I will keep my screen shared in case you all want to refer, or should I stop sharing?
Yeah, because you can leave it so that we can see your activities. I think my suggestion for your YouTube video is, I will usually ask my colleague, you share YouTube video, how are you sure that they really watch it? You have no record, right? So usually if you would like to share a video, probably I will embed it into Edpuzzle. It's a platform where you can set question, for example, after they listen to the first concept, and then that minute of time you can set maybe a true false question, MCQ question, or maybe you need them to fill in the blanks or something, so that you track the statistic. You can actually track who actually finished watching the video, who they watch halfway and then they stop, and then you can also check their answer to make sure that they really go and watch it and answer the question. Some students, they just skip the video, skip from minute 1 until minute 2, that kind of thing. You can actually set also the student cannot skip watching the video from the front until the end. That's a good point about Edpuzzle. So I think if you guys are putting in video for your lesson, especially when you find out that the video is actually very long, you need to make sure they really watch it. You put it in Edpuzzle. I think it's a better choice.
Edpuzzle.
Yes, Edpuzzle. You can explore a bit from that. You can put in videos from YouTube, or you can record your own lecture video and then upload it there and embed question in it also can. So I think it's a convenient tool for you to use. And Miss Shamini, do you have any other suggestion?
Not forgetting when Ms. Wendy, you were saying about Edpuzzle, right? Yes, you might think, I need to now create questions for Edpuzzle also on top of all the other works that I have. But one thing that we need to realize that, yes, we don't have to do it for all at one go. We can choose 1 or 2 topics like this. Okay, maybe this a curial topic, right? So we chose this topic, this YouTube video, and we kind of add the questions there, just one at a time. And once you have done with this topic, you don't have to redo question, or you don't have to create the questions again and again for your upcoming semesters. You can just create it this semester, and next semester you can reuse the same Edpuzzle link there. So maybe next semester you can focus on another topic. So in a way, you are not burdening yourself into creating everything at one go. And at the same time, you will ensure the students actually watch, or they learn something before they come for the class. They have the background knowledge there. And I like the way you mentioned you will add the activity widgets in terms of matching, because all these easy kind of activities are kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's very motivating to them because they don't have to write an essay. It's just a very simple task and you can just do it immediately. So when you add these widgets like matching or maybe crossword, like just now, one lecturer was sharing about crossword in another breakout room. So all these are simple activities that can actually, this is very easy, I can do it. And indirectly, they will learn from there as well. So yeah, that is a very good one, Mr. Wong, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Wong, that's very nice. So you can try Edpuzzle. What else? For Kahoot also, right? I noticed for during class, you mentioned you have Kahoot. I noticed that in Kahoot nowadays, it always lags in terms of like after playing like 6-7 questions, it will somehow show, lost connection. I don't know whether it's the problem with the connection or problem with Kahoot. Every time it's the same. So I kind of adopted to quizzes. And when I do quizzes, I use the instructor pace to teach them, so that it's not just that they answer question, but we can actually say, okay, these many students got wrong, so we can focus on that particular question and we explain more in class. So because like Kahoot, right, once they just choose, and you cannot really explain. In Kahoot, in quizzes, you have the laser, you have the pen, you can even randomly ask students to answer the question. There's a wheel of choosing questions, sorry, students and all. So after playing quizzes, you will have a statistics where it says, okay, this is the question where many students got wrong. So again, maybe in your next class or maybe after class activity, you can focus on that question. So these are something that I also do in my class. So I think pretty much, I think overall it's pretty interesting here, so Wong. Very good.
Okay.
Good job,
That's
good job.
All right, thank you.
And the other thing, I put it in the chat box to remind myself to say it after Miss Shamini. I noticed that you said you want to do a short teaching during the class because it's something new that you want the student to learn. Usually, for us, language classes, we will prefer not to lecture a lot, even though we know that there is something that we want to teach. For my style, I will usually do, for example, I put here think, pair, share. You can, it is something that you want them to learn. Probably they can do segment reading. You give them like a piece of, okay, it can be a mind map, it can be infographic or something that you created beforehand. Then you you divide the students into a few groups. Group number 1, okay, they will read about this paragraph. Group number 2, they read about second paragraph. After that, you ask them to, they share their ideas to another group, what they have understood. Sort of like teach the other group. They don't need to read everything. So when they exchange the knowledge, okay, they have sort of completed the activity, then only you add on whatever they have missed. They present to you and then you sort of like add to what they have missed, they didn't share or they didn't present just now. Instead of you talking from the first part until the end. You don't need to teach them everything. Let them do the work, because I believe when they do it on their own, they can remember better. You just add to that only. Miss Shang, what do you think?
Totally agree to it. Like Miss Wendy's class, she mentioned paragraphs. So here in this accounting class, perhaps you can go by subtopics, like mini subtopics, and you do it as a segmented part. Give one group a subtopic, let them discuss, let them present, and of course, if they missed many things, you can add on that. So everyone will have at least one topic covered. They know that topic very well. This is something similar to the tenses activity that I did with my students also.
Right. Understood.
Oh, sorry. Good job. Congratulations. Not congratulations. Okay, sorry. Good job. Good job. Good job there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay, moving on to another one more presentation, perhaps.
Okay, Nalini, Miss Nalini, you can share yours. You can share screen.
Hello, morning, or is it afternoon? Okay, so the subject that I'm teaching is first year law degree paper called Legal System and Method. So this one is the topic common law and equity, very much based on a history. So this whole LLO is about historical development of the legal system in England. Two things that the students have to learn. One is the description of the development and explaining the importance of the development today, right? Even though it's a historical thing, does it have any relevance today or not? So that one depends on what are the new cases that supports the old law and all that. So what are the activities that I do before, during, and after? So this topic I've already pre-recorded my lecture together with in the slides itself, and I will upload it like a week before the class on open learning. So it's the students' duty to baca, to listen to this video recording and all that. So in class, what I'll do is first we'll do like a short quiz. So this quiz is not Kahoot, not quizzes. These are more like a verbal. So I'll ask them, okay, what is the meaning of this word? What is the meaning of that word? For example, what is common law? What is equity? So I'll test them very basic understanding of key concepts. Then we will go into some more details. So let's say we learn in the chapter they talk about cases. So in that cases, okay, more details about cases. What is the facts? What is the decision? What is the concept that they have understood? So this is all taken care in class during the quiz as well as the questions. And students also will ask back, okay, I've heard this part of the audio, but I don't understand when you say this concept. Can you explain? So that kind of clarification will happen in class. Right. So once that activity is done, then after class, what they are supposed to do is write a 1,200 word essay for to be considered as their assignment. Yeah. So in addition to this activity related to the same topic is, so I refer them to read a textbook. So textbook normally will give them more in-depth explanation of the concepts and all that, right? So in class, I will check back with them. Okay, so you have read this chapter. Tell me what have you gained from this case. So let's say some students didn't read that case. So in class, I will get them to do a quick search about the facts, about the decision, report back to the class. And then the end work after class is again writing an essay, 1,200 words.
Hey, hi, Miss Melanie.
Hi.
So these after class activities, right? The 1,002 words. Is it like individual
Yes.
task, or is it like a pair? Oh, it's an individual task.
It's an individual task because they are sitting exam individual basis, no group examination. So everybody, because their writing skills will be different. So if I make it into a group activity, then the best will be the one who's writing. The not so good ones, they shy away. So if I make it individual, then everybody will have no choice but to write something. Then I will be able to assess them one by one . Given that the class is quite small and all that, this is doable.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Usually in this particular course, what would be the number of students? Is it 50
it's
or
about 10 to 15. Yeah.
10 to 15 is a very ideal number of students in a class. I would really love that number. Yes, of course, if with that number of students, yes, you can definitely give an individual essay writing and all. But if it's a big, huge group class, then it's going to be extra tiresome for you also to grade all 50 or 40 individual essays here. Okay, so I do have only one one question also regarding the reading textbook chapter 2 and the learner narrates, right, in class. So when they narrate the story or the case study, do they have some kind of a visual aid, or they just stand up and they just narrate to their peers?
Visual aid, as in they refer to any videos or whatever, is it?
Yeah. Do they have any like
no, because ours is no videos, because not there's not many videos online about cases, especially the more recent cases. So we do have like law reports. But I don't give them law reports. I just ask them to read from a summary or brief case. As long as we get the facts, we get the concept, we get what the law is, that is more than enough.
Okay.
So that's
what about
on the narration part.
okay, so what about like mind map kind of thing? Do they share that when they narrate?
Okay, so at the end of the chapter, I can give them suggestion. So like, I mean, maybe not this topic, but maybe a different topic. Yes, definitely mind maps will help. Like the chapter after this is very much case-based and principle-based. So it would be easier to absorb with mind maps lah. So yes, that component exists, but that's the thing. Chapter to chapter, there's a different way.
Yes.
Different way.
We cannot teach the same for all the other topics. It's definitely
Correct, because
different.
some topics are not so examinable. Some topics are very examinable. So the very examinable one, we have to do more research, like reading articles written by maybe lawyers in UK, professors in UK. So, but some topics we don't even have to do that much of in-depth research.
In-depth and all right. So my suggestion is just one thing in terms
Yes.
of reading the textbook also, right? Instead of reading the entire textbook, you can ask the students to, you know, do they usually take notes and all, right? So in a way, you can ask them to just come out with a mind map, as in this particular chapter 2. What did you understand, or what is the case study is about? So you I'll ask them to do the mind map and maybe upload them in open learning, for example. So next time, perhaps the next semester, you can also like kind of like use that as a guidance. If it's a really good mind map, right? You can use that as a guidance and say, okay, this is the simplified version, of course, prepared by the previous one. So this is what is it. So do your own learning and develop from there, maybe develop from there, or maybe you can create your own mind map and all. So I think learning through mind map it will register faster because, you know, it has all the visuals and colors and all. Instead of reading the textbook with, you know, a lot of words and all, right? So I think that is one way to flip the lesson. And Miss Wendy, anything else you would like to add?
I was just thinking about maybe can utilize their social media by, you know, you give them a question and then ask for public's or their friends' opinion. Like, you know, on Instagram, we have people who set a question on their story, then people respond to their question. Maybe can ask them to collect some of the public's response, or what is their idea, or do they even understand what is this about, and then ask them to, based on the public's response, then they talk about it during the class also. Then they will know that, oh, actually the public or my friends or my family members, when they see this, they don't actually know that there's such law or such things that they cannot do or they can do. Something like that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether it is relevant to your topic, this particular topic.
It's not so relevant for this topic, but I can implement your idea in maybe some other topics that is more current lah, because this one is very historical based. So like like maybe when we are discussing a specific case, we learn about a concept. So yeah, this idea would be a good idea to ask them to post it in their own social media and get feedback as to how many of them know about this.
Yeah, correct.
And especially nowadays, they love social media. So I guess they have many followers, and you know, so one question, perhaps, you know, they'll get a lot of ideas. So it's not just one brain's content, but they will get, you know, information from perhaps other people, from public itself. So I think it's one way of expanding their knowledge on that particular topic.
Right.
It's a good one.
Thanks.
Okay. So we have heard two interesting flip lessons on how we can, avoid the, classroom lecture, just talk and talk and talk, but instead, you implement activities in class and, even before class, you just don't ask them to read, but you also ask them to, do some work activities, hands-on tasks so that, the topics can register in their mind in a better way. Even YouTube videos or any recorded lectures. Okay, instead of just posting and asking them to watch, I'm sure they will like, I need to watch this. So very long video. So when you put in like, like this egg puzzle kind of thing, or you have questions in class, during class, all these will actually trigger them to, okay, I need to learn before I come to my class. If I don't learn, I cannot answer, those kind of things. So pretty much interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Wong and Ms. Nalini, for sharing your lesson plan.
You.
So let's move on to the final part of our session. I just forgot I need to turn on my camera. Sorry. All right. So moving on to our final part, Miss Wendy, can you please share the slides?
It is taking a bit of time to show on your screen.
Yeah, this is one of the issues about online learning. I'm sure everyone have encountered this before. The screen is loading, you can't see, and students also, they don't see it. Okay, I think it's up, right? Okay, great. So I have, not really I, but we, both of us, we have a certain reminders when you are trying this modified flip lessons in terms of, just ditch all those lecture-based content, but, try to be a bit different, do more on activity-based tasks and all in class. So one thing I would like to say is be confident when you are preparing your lesson. Okay, in your preparation, even if you have a slight doubt, like, will this work or not? Right? Is it doable? Even if you have slight doubt, of course, that's where reflective comes in place, right? You kind of like answer those questions, and you try to how to say, if you have doubts, try to answer them and then prepare it in a more confident manner. Because if you are doubtful of your lesson plan, I'm sure students will identify, I think this lecturer has not prepared very well. It's not a complete one. She's not confident. Therefore, their interest in that certain topic will just go lower. So be confident when you are creating any kind of online materials, especially when you want to do something different than how you used to do. Okay. The second one, just a reminder to provide clear instructions. Okay. You don't just post a video and say nothing. All right. Of course, you need to post video and label the video properly. Say, okay, video 1. Okay, go through, watch the video for the first 5 minutes and answer the questions below. And maybe you have another one more material. Go through the infographic above and share with us what do you think about this content. All right. So always try to come up with clear instructions on, in fact, when you say share with us some ideas, some is not a measurable word. So some means what? Just 2 ideas? Try to be more specific, like, give us 4 ideas, or give more like 3 ideas, or give 3 laws that, that affect this particular topic. So make sure you come up with clear instructions. Moving on to the third one is, it's always good to have a backup activity. Okay, so even in class when you're doing your task, right? Sometimes you will be ready with Kahoot. Okay, let's do Kahoot. But then you will notice some students have connection issue. Some students will have, they probably didn't bring their laptop or their phone's battery died. All sorts of excuses that they might come up with. So always think of a backup activity. Like for Kahoot, usually I will prepare, I download the questions in terms of PDF. I will have it ready and save in my desktop. So if I need it, I will just print out one and give to that respective student, you know, so that that particular student is not missed out from sessions. Okay. And in fact, in discussions also, let's say you're doing online discussions and students just say, Miss, types in the chat box, Miss, my mic is not working, so I can't unmute my mic and, you know, contribute to the discussion. It's okay, never mind. If it's online, you can even use application like Jamboard. Okay, application like Jamboard doesn't require you to, of course, talk or unmute your mic or what, but it is a white, like a canvas kind of thing where you can just scribble, you can write, you can put in sticky notes. You can, there are different colors of sticky notes so that to resemble, oh, I will use sticky note, I will use blue sticky note. Maybe Miss Wendy, she will use pink sticky note, okay? Just to, you know, monitor their discussion there. It's okay if you just type, okay? That is also one of it. So that is about having a good backup activity. Moving on to the next one is always reflect. So we are not perfectionists, as in like we are not someone who can produce the best lesson plan in one go. There will be hiccups because we have different types of students in class. Okay, maybe the first time you do it, you'll find some flaws. Okay, find some problems. Don't ignore those problems. Okay, if you ignore the problems, you use the same lesson plan the next semester, it's going to be the same, and you will feel very drained. Like, why my students doesn't want to listen to me? Why my students couldn't finish my work? You know, those kind of stress will just come up. So when you have hiccups, when there are some issues, always try to reflect on how to make it better. Okay, just try to take note of the task. Okay, which task is a bit boring for the students? If it's boring for the students, how to make it more interesting? If I use online tools, will it help them to, you know, get excited or pumped up? Okay, instead of just giving A4 paper or what is it called? Microsoft Word. Instead of giving the boring type of activities, why not we do online games kind of thing? Okay, and the last, but not the least one is don't be a perfectionist, right? This is something that I learned the hard way because when I first started to teach online, I was very stressed because I wanted everything to be perfect. I want to follow 100% of this lesson plan that I find. I want it to move on very smoothly. And if I couldn't finish it on time, I will feel very stressed, like, oh my God, I couldn't finish my lesson. My students didn't study well. You know, I feel very stressed. So in a way, we need to get to the part where it's okay. We don't have to be perfect. We can always adapt to changes on the spot. It's okay to have backup activities. See, if you have backup activities, so you don't be very stressed out. Okay. If this doesn't happen immediately, you can try your backup activity. And don't be perfectionist. Again, repeating the same thing. It's okay to have some flaws, but always reflect. Don't have to be perfect, because if you try to be perfect, then it's going to add up more stress to you. Right? Please, Wendy, do you have anything else to add to these final reminders before we kind of wrap up with our session today?
One very important thing to remind everyone is don't be so stressful. Don't how to say, because usually when we talk about methods like flipped classroom, modified flipped classroom, we feel so stressful because we think that it is something out of the norm. It is not something that we usually do. So I think you might have done flipped classroom without you yourself realizing maybe. So you don't need to be so stressful. Just sometimes I tell myself you just need to think like a student. When you were a student, what do you like? What do you not like? For example, if you know that your this batch or this bunch of students, they just like to participate in competitions. Okay, then maybe you take your activities, make it like a competition. For example, instead of doing Q&A or quizzes kind of quiz, what you do is, for example, if today you are teaching terms, like for English, we teach vocabulary. Like for law subjects, maybe you want them to understand the terms. What you can do is, I will usually, prepare cards, or you do lucky draw kind of thing. Okay, group one representative, you come in front, you take one piece of paper or a card. Okay, that term you have to explain. So if you didn't study or you didn't do your flipped lesson, you won't know what is that word about. You won't be able to answer, so you lose marks. So slowly they will realize that, oh, I need to do the flipped lesson, I have to do the activities. Or if not, I'm going to make my group feel embarrassed. I'm not going to help, not being able to help my group to gain marks, something like that. So you have to know what your students like, what they don't like, to customize your lesson maybe. And you don't need to stress yourself out. You don't need to prepare everything actually.
Just start small. That's all I would say. Start small. Like you don't have to do all in one go. All right. Choose a subtopic and then you do it. Change, flip it into modify. Maybe like what I've suggested to Mr. Wong. Uh, take one topic and change it into the Edpuzzle. Change that video into Edpuzzle. Finish. And then perhaps next semester, if you have slightly more free time, you can do for 2 videos. So now in total, you have 3 flip using Edpuzzle already. Okay, so don't force yourself to do everything in one go, because that will add up to your stress. Just start slow, or not start slow, start small. Okay, and I'm sure eventually you as a facilitator, you won't be spoon feeding them a lot. You will kind of like lay back and monitor how they are progressing and help them in the necessary situations. Right, so I think that is all about today's session, Ms. Wendy. So we've come to the end, and almost 12:25, 12:20. I think we have already covered most of the things. If you have anything else to add, or if you want to share something about your teaching style, or you have a better method in terms of flip teaching, teaching in a flip manner, you also can share it with us so that we can share your ideas with other batch of students. I think the last one I just want to mention, I just remembered one of the activities that I did was, it is for speaking, okay? So instead of calling them up in front and asking them to talk, I asked them to create a story, Insta story, okay? And they share it in their, live, just a 1 minute speaking task only. So they share it with their Instagram. And one of it is also about critical review, another topic. Okay, so instead of critical review, before you start teaching about all these research, what is a research journal article, before you start teaching them the hard way, you tell them what is a review first. So instead of diving into the difficult part, you say, okay, review is just like, we go and watch a movie and we talk about it. So now let's see. You think about our favorite movie and start to review about the movie. Okay, so indirectly they know what to talk about the best thing, the know how they can improve and all this about a movie. So they record that and they post in their Instagram story. Okay, so after uploading them, you can ask them for reflection. So what have you done? We have talked about the good things about the movie. We talked about things that they can improve in the movie and so on. Then you link it to a proper writing and referencing critical review. Okay, how to review an article, what is it? So it is somewhat similar, but it's not 100%, you know. So that is how you kind of like get them into the topic and get them into doing that particular topic. If I just give them a lecture on how to write a critical review, I'm sure they will go like, Miss, there's a lot to do, a lot to read, you know. So instead of that, you give them like a fun activity using online social media, and then you pull them into the serious part here. So again, I just thought of that activity that I thought I want to share with you. So I think that's all pretty much, that's all about it from me. So thank you very, very much for joining in our session. Ms. Wendy, I think it's the next slide.
I actually changed, but it doesn't show.
Okay.
Okay, let me do it one more time. See, it is taking quite a bit of time. But anyway, I want to tell everyone, have fun flipping.
Have fun flipping, guys, and thank you very much. Hope to see you again next time in another training, or maybe a training that you are providing. Perhaps we will be a participant. So looking forward to meet you all soon. Have a nice day. Have a good weekend. And thank you very much for being a good participant. And bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
I think we are done already. So I think we will leave the meeting first. Thank you very much for helping, Hazim. If you're there, if you're listening, are you? Can you listen to me? Just kidding. um, let me see if I can stop the recording. Oh no, I can't. Deactivate.